The title and after.
Oh, there we go.
Are we live yet or what? Okay, here we go. We are live. Hey, everyone. Hope everyone had a good week. And like I promised, we got Brian Bastos on here today from RBC Bank here. He works here in Sarnia and Lambton. He is a mobile mortgage specialist. And I thought we could bring him on just to answer some questions that I'm seeing from people over and over again right now. Quick disclaimer, today is March 27th. Everything he's sharing with us is relevant today. As we know, everything is changing constantly with the world right now. So things might be different on Monday. So don't hold us to this on Monday or Sunday or this afternoon, really. So as of March 27th, 11 in the morning, this is relevant information from RBC Bank. So Brian Bastos, why don't you jump on and give a quick introduction of who you are then a bit more.
Yeah, thanks, Sean, for having me. I think this is a great idea, and there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and what's happening with mortgages, what's happening with rates, and so I think it's a good idea to get out there and share a couple things that we're seeing on the financial side, and how it impacts you as the client or the buyer or seller, and in regards to mortgages. Again, as Sean mentioned, Brian Bastos here from Royal Bank here in Sarnia. I've been at the bank for probably about 10 years now, and as a mortgage specialist, all I do day in, day out, guys, is mortgages.
Awesome.
Thanks
So
for having me.
a couple of yeah, no worries, man. I'm just glad we can bring some value here to everybody. And so this is just RBC stuff. All the other banks are doing different things, are changing every day. So again, check with your banker, check with your local person, and to see what's going on. So I had some people write in some questions actually to what they want to hear about. So here's the big elephant in the room right now. What people want to know is, I just got laid off. I'm worried I'm not going to have enough money to pay my mortgage. What is RBC willing to do to help as of today?
Yeah, so great question, Sean. Certainly, I'm getting a lot of questions in regards to that. Right now, so if you have a mortgage currently and you have been laid off, the banks are offering, due to the recent news that came out between all the major banks, that the banks are offering up to 6 months payment deferrals. That does apply to your mortgage, that does apply to your credit card, and that does apply to your installment loans. So as of right now, not, let's just say on credit lines, but to your installment loans, consolidation loans, anything like that, you can defer your payments up to 6 months.
And just for people that don't know, what's it mean by defer your payments by 6 months? It doesn't mean you just get a free pass for 6 months. How is that going to work for people?
Right. So without getting into too much around the specifics, because it is a little bit different between all banks. This is all new and changing, guys, and it has been fresh and new for us as employees dealing with this. So right now, the payment deferral means that you can extend your payments for up to 6 months, and it is tacked on to your amortization. Right. So right now we're getting communication that your payment's not necessarily going to change with Royal Bank now, but we could see potentially payment changes on renewal. Again, this is all new and changing, guys. As Sean mentioned, this could change tomorrow, but right now it is not a free for all. In regards to free money, free payments, it is going to be tacked onto your amortization, similar to let's just say the 1 month skip a payment option for anybody enduring hardship that Royal Bank offers currently. It would be tacked onto your amortization. So that's the communication that we're getting currently. We're still waiting a little bit more clarification on certain things on that end.
So just for people to break it down a bit more, say you had a 5-year mortgage and you do the skip the payment for 6 months, you now have a 5-year, 6 month mortgage. Would that be a great way to really break it down?
Yeah, that's a good way of depicting how that would more or less work. As far as how the interest is calculated and charged and compounded, that's again where the specifics are. We're still waiting on. But yes, in a sense, Sean, you are correct.
Okay, perfect. So here's another question I got. I was just laid off from my job because of COVID-19, and I bought a house that's supposed to close next month. am I going to running into issues with RBC if I'm banking through RBC?
Right. So the question, from what I'm understanding here is, so you bought a house, you're firmly approved through Royal Bank, and now you've been laid off after the approval has been in place. Luckily, with Royal Bank, excuse me, currently what I can say is we will still be proceeding with that deal. RBC does have what we call a firm approval in place. So that means that we verified all the necessary requirements that is entailed when you're applying for a mortgage. So we've looked at your credit, we've looked at your income, we've looked at the collateral, the property, and we've approved that deal. When it's a firm approval, that means it's also been approved through CMHC. If, let's just say, you have a high ratio mortgage, meaning that you've put less than 20% down as a down payment. So what that means for you as the buyer is that that's a firm deal. So that guarantees and protects you that mortgage is going to close, and proceed to your lawyer. The banks, the lawyers, the realtors, the registrations offices have been included in the essential workers list. So unless that changes, or until we get new news on that end of things, if you have a firm approval through Royal Bank, that deal will still move forward. You don't have anything to worry about.
So let me backtrack you there for a second. You mentioned CMHC. Give me like the 2-second Coles note on what CMHC is for anyone that doesn't know.
Yeah, so CMHC, when you're putting less than a 20% down payment, CMHC stands for Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. There's CMHC, there's Canada Guarantee, and Genworth as well. So there's actually 3 insurance companies. But basically what that means is when you're putting less than a 20% down payment, this is across all lenders, all banks, all brokers. The government says we have to insure that mortgage. So if you were to ever, default on your payments, we had to repossess that home. If we're ever at a loss or there's any circumstances, that is an insurance that is tacked onto your mortgage that would protect the lender. So for anybody who's putting less than a 20% down payment, we have to, default insure that mortgage, and ultimately CMHC does get the final say. So going back to what it means by a firm approval, once we give you that stamp and say that the deal's been firmly approved, you can sleep at night and have reassurance that deal is going to move forward and there's not going to be any other hiccups, so long as nothing else is obviously changed in the form of either collateral or anything like that we have to rechange anything. But generally speaking, if we've approved the deal, verified your income, approved by CMHC, took a look at the house and the property, we like the deal, we're going forward with it. On the flip side, what I would encourage is, that's pertaining to firm approvals. It's important to note the difference between pre-approval and a firm approval. Okay. So going back to, if we have anybody who has been pre-approved, a few months ago or a month ago that we're in the market and looking, and now they've been laid off, well, then that certainly does change things a little bit, and that does change the conversation. So we do have to do a little bit more due diligence, and we're still waiting for news from the bank on how we're going to treat those scenarios. But what I could encourage is for everybody, to either reach out to myself or reach out to your mortgage broker, your mortgage lender, and see how that's going to impact you going forward.
So if anyone had a pre-approval and they still want to buy a house, they still want to go forward, reach out to your banker, whoever you're doing the mortgage with, and say, hey, am I still good to go? Because things have changed and it's a day-by-day basis. That's probably the best message to say for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So rates just went down. 0.25% for Bank of Canada this morning. What's that mean for RBC as of now?
So normally, and I guess, again, these questions quite often, guys, in regards to, I think the misconception is rates have gone down in regards to the prime lending side, and ultimately is going to correlate to what your mortgage rate is. They are 2 separate things, guys, to be honest with you. When the Bank of Canada reduces the prime lending rate, that means they're reducing the borrowing lending rate, the lending costs that they charge to the banks. So normally you see the banks follow suit where, probably by later on today, you'll see, or tomorrow, you'll see the banks follow suit with that prime rate drop. They just dropped it by another 50 basis points. So that prime lending rate affects like your variable rate mortgage. But if you have a loan or a line of credit or anything like that, that's where you're going to see those drops in regards to interest rates. The flip side of that is fixed mortgage rates. So variable and fixed mortgages rates are 2 different things. Sometimes the left hand does talk with the other, and you will see a drop in regards to the fixed side of things, but it doesn't always work that way. Right now, we're actually seeing, we've seen rates drop on the fixed side given the COVID-19 crisis, and then we've also seen the banks increase rates on the fixed side, fixed rates in regards to the COVID-19 crisis. The spreads are pretty thin as it is right now in regards to interest rates. So again, it's hard to predict exactly what's going to happen right now with interest rates, and there's a lot of uncertainty. But it is, important to monitor the interest rates. And for anybody who is in the market, I would encourage, again, reaching out to myself or any one of our teams at Royal Bank here and lock in, that interest rate or have that conversation.
So that leads me right to my next question is, I want to get a pre-approval right now. What are the banks doing differently to accommodate? Because obviously I'm not coming into your office right now and sitting down with you and doing a pre-approval. No. So what is the bank? How's the bank adapted? What are you doing in your business right now? And I think because you're mobile, you're kind of already on this trend already. But tell me, how do I get a pre-approval right now through RBC?
Yeah, so as you can see, I'm in the comfort of my home, guys, practicing social distancing along with everybody else. And so right now, how we're doing pre-approvals, we are mobile banking specialists, and we are still open for business. So we are still able to pre-approve clients through a variety of different means, whether that's using, technology, virtual appointments. So I'm doing appointments similar to what we're doing right now in regards to this conference. We're utilizing Skype, we're utilizing FaceTime, email, etc. So, clients who are in the market right now, currently, let's just say they're giving me a call. We're having that conversation. We've set up a telephone, appointment where I can run through a pre-approval with them. In the meantime, I will give you a list of documentation that I'll need up front, which you can either email me. The alternative, if there is documentation that does need to be passed and forth, you don't have the capability of email scanning. The branches are open if you feel comfortable to drop off your information there. That's one option. On a personal side, to speak for myself only, I have been making, house visits where, let's just say, documents are left in the mailbox. I will, you let me know. I will wait in your driveway. You put the mailbox. I'll wait for you to go back inside and come and get them. Again, that's only speaking for myself in one scenario or an example, guys. But again, with practicing social distancing, if you guys are comfortable with that, that is an alternative. But with technology these days, we can do a lot of things, over the phone and still get you answers so you can put that offer in and be confident on that pre-approval.
So here's a question. A lot of people don't have scanners. They don't have printers at home. Could I take a picture of my phone of my pay stub and send it to you?
Yes and no. So
Okay.
There is, in regards to wet ink to paper signatures, that's, where we'll have to have that conversation on how we're going to navigate that. As far as documentation, guys, what I always stress is, yes, we do accept them to an extent, so long as it has the full document, it is nice and clear, and it comes through to myself as a nice, clear picture. Because what happens is we still print that document and then we scan it electronically. So sometimes when we scan things over, if it's a picture format, it can be a little bit distorted. So if we're unable to see, what your hourly rate is, or what your year-to-date income is on your pay stub, or what the T4, if your name is a little distorted, that's where things can get a little bit, complicated, and we have to go back and forth a little bit. But yes, to make things easier, we are accepting that. As long as the picture is nice and clear and it has your full information, I can take that.
And you know what, everyone?
Sorry, Sean, yeah. I was going to say, I will still get the originals, just a short note there, guys. I don't want you to think that we still don't require the originals. But let's just say for the purpose of a pre-approval in the midst of time when we're under a time crunch, that is something that we will entertain.
And a great thing for people, too, that don't realize is, like, on your phone, on the App Store, Adobe, there's a lot of great camera scanners now that will put the documents into a PDF and send it off, so it really keeps up the image quality. We use it all the time on the go in our real estate business, so it's a great thing to do. So is there any other programs right now that we could touch on that RBC has in light of the COVID situation that people should be looking into that bank with RBC?
Stay tuned. That's what I can say. As of right now, the options that we do have, what I can say, the options that we do have, to finish my point, is the mortgage deferral payment program. So you'll notice that it was nice to see the, not just Royal Bank, but all the banks come together to figure out how we can help everybody out here. It's a stressful time. It's a tough time for everybody. There's a lot of uncertainty. And as you mentioned, Sean, earlier, this can change from 1 minute to the next. So stay tuned. I'm not going to say no, but as that communication gets communicated to us, we'll make sure we share that. What I could encourage, is to connect with an advisor here at the Royal Bank. You can either call in and connect through one, or potentially connect with somebody in the branch if you're dealing with somebody on a regular basis and you have an advisor. Reach out to that person and see if there's ways that maybe we can look at your overall financial picture. And, maybe there's ways we can save you some money in other areas or some other avenues we can explore. So for anybody who's not doing that yet, we're all sitting at home, bunkered down right now. That might not be a bad idea to connect with your advisor and some of my colleagues in the branches locally here and see if there's any ways we can save you some money.
So call the branch, email your advisor. There's probably a 1-800 number for RBC that I'll put in the comment section after. I'll get it from you, Brian. Go to the RBC website, probably another great resource as well. So we'll put all that in the description in the comments after. I'll make sure it's all correct and get it from Brian. So here's another thing too that we talk about sometimes, and I know maybe this is the last thing people are thinking about, but to me is I like to have goals for when this is all over, what I'm going to do. RBC has a pretty cool program for purchasing properties in the U.S., don't they?
We do. So we've really revamped our entire approach into how we're dealing with clients, whether it be you're a snowbird and looking to buy some property down there. I know there's a lot of discussion around clients looking to buy in the U.S. Absolutely, we have a quite phenomenal program that we do use in regards to U.S. mortgages. How it looks like is we have a specific team that is designated in the U.S. that can help you with not only the purchasing side of the property and help you on that end, but also help you with the financial side of things and get you that pre-approval or that firm approval. Basically what happens is, you reach out to myself, just allow how that would entirely work is, go to my page, you have my information there, or reach out to me, directly. I can put you in contact with our team. But there is, an abundance of offers that we have in regards to some of our promos that we have currently. And also a little bit more flexibility on how we can qualify you for that mortgage. So we can use things like, your Canadian Credit Bureau. They have a little bit more flexibility on, what type of income they can use, being that you're buying in the States, your loan to value ratios, the amount of down payment that's required to buy in the U.S. That's a little bit different than, let's just say if you were to go through Chase Bank or as a foreign investor or something. So there's a lot of different avenues that our team can help you out with and explore for you to make it easier to do business and ultimately get that purchase in the U.S.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because it's hey, we got some people some positive stuff to look forward to. But before we sign off here, again, I'm going to recap. This information is as of today, March 27th, is relevant, around lunchtime. So Monday it might be different. I'm going to put in the comment section in the description the numbers and how to reach out to RBC to get a hold of them. Brian, is there any other tips you want to tell everyone when dealing with their mortgages right now, dealing with their finances? Any words of wisdom? Yeah,
it's like I said, guys, this is something that's completely, unpredictable. Nobody, I don't think, could have ever predicted, the COVID-19, and it's been a wild start to 2020. I can say at the very least. To touch on the mortgage deferral payment program again, there is, like I said, the options to either call it in through the 1-800 number. Obviously volumes are a little bit high, guys. So there is an alternative measure that you can either go into the branch again, if you are open to doing that. I will say, just to give a little bit of a plug to the branch staff here locally, and I've seen this across all banks, most banks, the precautions that they're taking in the branch level, guys, is phenomenal. They're doing controlled entrance, letting one person in per teller at a time, sanitizer stations at the upon entry. And they're really asking those extra questions. So you can feel confident that if you do need to go to the bank, we are still open for business. But to touch on the mortgage deferral payment programs, again, you can go on my website, link to my Facebook page, guys. I did share a link this morning. There is options. You can also apply for that through your online banking. If you're comfortable with signing in through your online and your sign-in passwords, as an alternative to have to stay on the phone for those high wait times on the deferral programs. As far as the pre-approvals and the approval side, that is the most important. So touching on firm approvals, extremely important for clients who are in the market, who are purchasing, who are maybe in the midst of a build through a builder. If you have been firmly pre-approved or firmly approved through Royal Bank, that approval does stand. On the pre-approval side, contact your broker, take that one extra step, contact me as your mortgage specialist if you have any questions, and let's make sure that we're all on the same page, and make sure you're protected as a client if you are in the market to purchase.
So really the key message here is communication, information, that is key. And I think it's great. I'm watching all these great Canadian businesses really step up and stand behind and making things as easy for people as they can through this transition. Stay positive, everyone. We're going to get through this, and really look after your neighbors. Sorry, Brian, you had something else you want to throw in there?
Yeah, and I agree, guys. There's some positive stuff to take out of here. I'm sure it's some are enjoying the family time, and it's nice to see our community really get together around some of this stuff. But what I just wanted to touch on, what I missed on my last point there, guys, is just in regards to interest rates as well. It's never too early, to start the conversation around interest rates as we see a drop today. Give me a call, reach out to one of our teams here at Royal Bank. We can hold rates for up to 120 days, guys. So that is 4 months. So again, just to make sure you are protected, if you are in the market and you are looking to buy, reach out to us. It's never too early to start the conversation, whether you're switching your mortgage to Royal Bank, looking to see if it makes sense to break your mortgage into a lower rate, or you're in the market to buy a new home. It's never too early to explore, the rate options, and make sure that there's a lot of uncertainty with interest rates and how they're going to go. We're seeing them go down, we're seeing them go up. So contact one of us. Let's get you locked in. Let's guarantee that interest rate and protect you from any potential rate increases in the near future.
And just to go on that part too, and that's what we're telling a lot of buyers right now and sellers is it's never too early to start. So like if you were actively buying or going to sell and you put the brakes on, that's fine. You got to do what you're comfortable with, but become a research buyer, become a research seller, start gathering that information, because when things normalize and the markets start going back to how they were, be ready. It's never too early to start doing that research. So that's a great point, Brian. And that's what we're telling a lot of clients right now. Like, hey, put the brakes on. That's fine, whatever you're comfortable with, but just be ready when the gates open again. Do your research, do your homework, do the legwork now online, obviously, social distancing, but just be ready. So awesome, Brian. Thank you again for bringing this out. This is a wealth of knowledge. I hope it helps some people. It's going to answer some questions for people. Stay safe. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Thank you, Sean. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
All the best, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, Brian. Yeah. Bye.